did that law affect whether people voted either way?
Oh, okay. The difference when you do campaigning, the more money you have, the more influence you have. The more you can influence people. Hence, you put more money into it. People wouldn't fund a campaign if they didn't make money from it. Sorry, they didn't benefit from it. Yeah. So a campaign that was run, and the winners of that campaign.
The question is, you wouldn't be saying this if we remained.
No, you'd be saying it to me. You'd be saying it to me.
Possibly.
And you know I do.
No, you know what? I wouldn't. I promise.
You wouldn't.
I reckon.
I would.
If we remained and that was the good democratic vote, I would have respected it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a democratic vote. I don't think a democratic vote can be based
vote.
on lies told to people and breaking of electoral law.
Lies told to people. That's where we get to. You can see there are lies on both sides.
Even if that was,
you've said this before.
in the Bible.
So tell me the law. Tell me the lie that you think remains said.
Okay, I've told you £4,300.
No, I explained that to you. That was to do with then.
Okay, but so the government said, they published that every household would be £4,300 less off if we left.
On a no deal.
They can't know that.
On a no deal.
Well,
they can.
They can't know that. How do you know that? How can you make that number?
Do you know what a lie is? Do you know what a lie is?
I know what a lie is.
What's a lie?
This may not be a lie, but it's
What's
a
a
clear
lie?
deception.
What's a lie?
It's a clear
What's
deception.
a lie?
Unknowingly. Sorry, knowingly.
Say something you know ain't true.
Yes.
It's a lie.
But that is no.
right.
How do they know?
No.
How do they know? They're making a prediction that they have no
No,
basis.
a prediction.
They're making
A prediction is not a lie. It's a prediction.
True.
Right? A lie is saying something you know is
But
false.
it's a deceptive lie. It's a deceptive
No, you
lie.
can't say it's a
You
deceptive
can't
lie.
know that. You can't know that.
No, you can say, look, how do you do predictions? You base it on forecasts. How do you do that? You do it on economics and whatever. Yeah. So, for example, let's do that.
I'll give you another lie.
I know.
I'll give you another lie.
No, one second. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example.
I've got
You
loads.
want to
I've
no
got
deal
loads.
Brexit.
I've got loads of lies.
You want to no deal Brexit. Yeah?
Brexit was no deal.
You want to no deal Brexit.
Brexit was no
According to
deal.
Boris Johnson, it wasn't. And he was the head of Vote Leave. Anyway.
No, he's dealing with what he has now because he has a government.
No. Boris Johnson.
He has a government in the country that undemocratic.
Boris Johnson. Oh, sorry. The parliamentary democracy is undemocratic. Okay. So basically, Boris Johnson was the head of Vote Leave.
Yeah. He was. Yeah.
Right. And he broke the law.
He broke the law.
Sorry, no, the government side broke. Sorry, Leave UK broke the law.
Fine,
Sorry,
fine.
Boris Johnson lied about
Leave
the
UK
bus.
broke the law.
The bus was the lie.
No, the bus was a prediction. How can you say it's a lie? All right, let's do that. How is the bus not a prediction?
Okay, did it not say that the NHS will have this much money every week?
No, it said we would have this much money that we could put into the
It
NHS.
said that at all.
It did say that.
But it said after we leave the EU, that money will be available.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
But we haven't left the EU yet.
And that money will be available.
No, but they've conceded it's
No,
not
but
going to
you can see that money will be available.
Yeah, and that money is not new money. It's money that's already there that's already been taken away from them. It's not just as simple about there's more money available now. It's money that they've already been.
No, it's money we were.
Speak to the nurse.
It's money we were putting to the EU.
Anyway,
and we were saving it. So the bus was right.
Yeah. So going back to the original point that about lying, saying something that's not true.
Yes.
Okay. No deal Brexit. Yeah. This is what you want.
Yeah.
And according
That's what Brexit is. That's
all right.
not what I want.
According to
Brexit
Patrick,
is no deal.
According to Patrick Minford, who is Rees-Mogg's chief economic advisor, he said this no deal Brexit will decimate the agricultural and farming industry. Yeah. And fishing industry.
Prediction. Just like you're saying.
Yeah.
I told you I spoke to two farmers that voted Brexit.
Right.
I spoke to two farmers myself.
That wouldn't surprise me. But the point here is this:
Something wrong
someone's
talking
saying to you, this thing, is gonna. Why is it going to decimate the agricultural industry? Why?
You tell me. I don't think it
No.
will.
Why
You tell me.
why did Patrick Minford, economic advisor Jacob Rees-Mogg, say that this is going to devastate the agricultural industry?
I would imagine he's a Remainer.
No, why did he say it? Well, Patrick Minford, Rees-Mogg's the economic
Well,
guy.
he said it. He said that it's going to destroy all of agriculture.
Agriculture, yeah, and he said it's going to go the way of the coal mines.
Okay, you tell me why
Yeah,
you think he said that.
basically, tell that to the candlestick maker, effectively. So the point here is this: you are voting for something that's going to destroy the agricultural industry
In
of
the
this country.
view of one
It's a
person.
prediction.
In this country.
It's a prediction of one
But
person.
do you accept I could bring people like Dyson or people who are raving about it?
And he just moved all his stuff to Japan. Fantastic. So the point here
No,
is
Singapore actually, which
Singapore,
is also
right.
outside of the EU, so it's not an EU argument, is it? Because he's going to Singapore.
why do you say it here?
Well, because
How's Singapore got to do with the
is
EU?
not in the EU.
Has he got a
So
trade deal
the
with the
argument
EU?
of Dyson going to Singapore has got nothing
Has
to
it
do
got
with
a trade deal with the
Brexit,
EU?
has it?
Has Singapore got a trade deal with the EU?
Has it got a trade deal with
No, has it got a trade deal with the EU?
Has it?
And that's the question.
I don't know.
Well, you're acting like it's not. So has it or not?
I've answered that question.
Because
Move on.
Dyson knows we may not have a trade deal with the EU. Whereas if you go to Singapore, they do have a trade deal with the EU. Therefore, he can still trade.
I want you to accept the point, because you make it out that on Brexit there were lies told.
No, I don't mean
but
nothing
there were no lies.
I don't mean nothing now. All I say to you is this: when you make a claim, support it.
But do you accept that there were?
I don't know. Tell me.
Is it by the nature of them being politicians enough?
I don't think it's. No.
No, but so you're saying?
Are you saying all politicians lie?
No, but I'm saying that collectively they would.
Do they all lie?
Do
they all lie? Do they all lie?
Do they all lie? Probably very rarely. A few don't.
Okay, I'll say it again.
But we're talking about complete political parties.
What do you believe that Remainers were told, or the people of this country were told, that influenced them to remain, that they knew
That
wasn't true?
we weren't going to have an EU army, that we'd need an emergency Brexit the day after the referendum.
Do you
There's
believe?
There's two.
All right. So you believe we have a?
Do you accept those two
you
examples?
accept we have a veto on
Do you
the EU
accept
army?
those two examples? You asked
No,
the
I don't.
question.
No.
So they didn't. The Remain side did not argue that we're not going to have an EU army. Are you saying that?
That would be the Leave argument.
No, the Remain side. Sorry, okay. The Leave side argued that we're not going to have that we're going to have an EU.
Right, that's a lie.
The Remain side said we're not,
Right.
and that's been disproved already.
Really? How's it been disproved?
The Remain side also said we'd need an emergency Brexit.
Are you aware that the UK has a veto on the EU army, or not?
It doesn't.
It doesn't have a veto. Well, it does. You're wrong.
does.
Well, check it out.
Tell us
You're wrong.
about. Tell us
Are you
about.
saying it
this
won't
veto.
happen?
No, the UK.
They said it wouldn't even happen.
The
It wouldn't even exist.
Listen.
Juncker
the
said he
EU
wants it, and
the,
he's the president of
the UK has a veto about Britain being part of the EU army.
Utter
But
rubbish. That's
if the
incorrect.
president is saying he wants one, should we take it as that's what the EU want?
No.
That's the direction they're
If
going.
the EU wants an EU army, the UK can veto being a part of it. Yes.
True.
Right. So we don't.
I don't
So
believe that is true.
so the idea of an EU army is a Leave lie, not a Remain lie. Because that was a threat. If we stay, they're going to make us join an EU army. No, they're not. We've got a veto.
I think for me, the concept of the EU army proves that the EU are not what they started out to be. It was supposed to be like a trading playground, and all of a sudden, an EU army, it's become a
Federalist
political
state.
power.
Controlling our
To
VAT.
me, it's almost like a.
Controlling our VAT. Sorry, sorry. Controlling our VAT.
The rules
I
about
have-
what we
I have
apply
to demolish
VAT
the seat for every
to
point I
and
get.
what we
All
don't
right.
apply VAT
What's the
is strictly
lowest rate of
governed by the
VAT
EU.
according to the EU you can charge?
I don't want the EU to be
What's the
telling
lowest?
me what the
What's
lowest
the
rate
lowest?
or the
What's
highest
the
rate
lowest?
should
What's
be.
the lowest?
I don't want them
What's the
telling us
lowest?
what the highest
Let's
or
throw
the
your red herring
Is
back
it
in the sea.
14?
15%. All right. What's the
Close.
UK VAT?
But it's not just about the
20,
level,
20.
it's about
So
what it's
what-
applied
so what does
to.
the VAT
It's not just the
of the
level,
EU
it's what it's applied to and not applied to.
What
is,
does-
is it not?
What is
is
the,
it not?
What is
is
the,
it not?
Listen. I'll
There's
say it
also
again to
rules
you.
about what it's applied
What
to
is
and what
the
not
relevance
applied to.
of telling me about VAT and the EU set a low standard, minimum standard, when we're above that anyway?
It's also
So
about
leaving
what
the
it's applied
EU,
to and
leaving
what
the
it's
EU
not
doesn't make
applied
VAT
to.
less. It's a red herring. Put it back in the sea, mate. Yeah. What's the other
Love
red
your
herrings they
sound
come out
bites.
with?
Love your sound bites.
Do you accept my point?
Earlier about
I love logical fallacies. Yeah.
You
I've been
mentioned
in them.
earlier that originally it was the EEC, the European Economic Community. 1992,
Sorry, I forgive me. I wasn't even listening.
you had the
I wasn't even listening.
You had the EEC, European
surprise
Economic
there.
Community. 1992, we had the Maastricht Treaty. In that document was the creation of the European Union, which was completely different from just being about trade.
What's that got to do with anything?
It has, well, that
This is
was
what turned the EU into what it is.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
Which
anything?
we don't want to be part of.
What's that got to do with anything?
because that was what
You're already part of it. We've already
It's a
established
federalist
that.
state.
Look, we're talking about the difference between a no deal Brexit and a deal Brexit. That's what we're talking
But
about.
I think for you, our points are relevant. You say it's irrelevant what direction the EU are going. You're more on the economy, aren't you? 'Cause
Look,
most Remainers I talk to only talk about the.
most people don't know the difference between the customs
Most
union and the
Remainers
single
don't
market.
know who the president of the EU is. They don't even, and they don't know that there's a council, there's a commission. They don't know who Donald Tusk is. You ask them, and they're like, "What? I don't know, but it's racist."
Well, no, that's a complete
No,
wrong.
but-
Well, you
no, but
can't,
I'm-
you
no, but
can't
I'm
tell me what
saying-
other people have said. Talk to me.
But you tell me that.
I said the racist.
No,
Who's
you
racist?
I said anything
No,
racist.
you were telling me that what Brexit is voted for.
What I said to you was
told me
this.
most of them voted for no. You said-
Okay.
Go on.
After the referendum, were people going up to black people and Asian people telling them you're going home? Goodbye.
Okay,
No, were they or not?
No, they
but-
weren't. No, they weren't.
Look,
They were.
There was one
Answer
lie
this,
said
answer
about
this.
graffiti on a Polish
The
centre
EU,
in
the EU.
England.
What race is
turned
the
out
EU?
to be complete
What
fake
race
news.
is within the EU?
It was
What race?
inter-Polish.
European.
The white race.
Yeah, of course.
So white people, the EU is white. We're leaving a white.
I agree. I agree.
So people telling people who are Indian and
It's what?
They're,
It's what?
they're racist.
Whether we
They're
do
racist.
it, no, they are racist, of course.
But how-
But they're stupid. They're stupid.
Yeah, and
First thing. Second thing, most people, when you speak about why they want to leave the EU, they talk about our hospitals are overrun, our doctors can't get an appointment, schools are full. Yeah.
See, but
Who
you're
are
doing
you
the same as what
talking
I
to?
did. You're
Who are
saying
you
most
talking
people.
to?
Yeah.
Can you make that statement though? That most people say that.
Oh, you don't agree with that?
Well, 50, you're saying 52% of
You don't
the
believe
population.
our doctors and our hospitals and our thing are overrun by EU immigrants, no? Oh, fantastic. So you have no problem with
And that's got
immigration?
nothing
So-
to do with
so
why I
you're-
voted.
so you're-
There will be more I think, as you were about to point out, post-Brexit, if it ever bloody well happens, there will be more non-white immigration
Of course
to
it
this
will.
country than
Of course
when
it
we're
will.
in the EU.
course
So
it will.
therefore,
Because the rest of the world's gonna tell the UK to bend over and take their
statement
visas.
that Brexit is a racist issue clearly is a
I didn't say it was a
ridiculous
racist issue.
statement.
I never said
Or
that.
that people
I've never
voted
said
for
that.
Brexit because of racism.
I've never said that.
Or because of concerns
Listen,
about EU
me,
people in
me
the House
reporting
service.
what Brexiteers have said is not me being racist. It's what them being racist.
But
Not
where,
me.
where are you getting your figures from? Where are you getting your evidence from when you say most people or people that voted for Brexit?
Oh, okay.
Where are you getting that from?
Oh, okay. I've seen-
People that you've spoken to?
For me personally, I've spoken to Brexiteers.
So that is your, so that is your source. of
Someone
that
talked to me
point.
about Romanian prostitutes, I remember. It was you, wasn't it? Yeah.
So what's wrong with Romanian prostitutes?
I'll give you an example, yeah? Where I place is overrun with Romanians, yeah? And to be honest with you,
Where
yeah?
you live, it's overrun with Romanians.
Yeah,
Is that what you
and
just
it's a
said?
blight.
Yeah.
They're pickpocketing, they're begging,
You're talking about Romany. You're not talking about Romanians. You're talking about gypsies.
Well, I don't know.
Have you made sure you do realise that the vast majority of Romanians
Okay,
here
the
are
ones
not
pickpocketing,
gypsies?
the ones pickpocketing
Are
are
not
not.
Romanian, normal Romanian people?
No, the ones pickpocketing are
They're
not dressed like
Romany
gypsies.
gypsies.
They're not gypsies.
I think you found that out.
Okay, I'm telling you they're not.
How do
All
you
right.
know? Have you DNA tested them?
We've seen them robbing. We've seen who the people
Oh, I
are.
thought you said they're not.
Wait a
So they're
minute.
not Romany gypsies.
Okay, how would you know if someone's a Romanian gypsy or not?
You can tell by the
Phenotype.
contrast in the colour. You can tell
Yeah, they do have a different
Phenotype,
look,
their
different
skin colour.
phenotype.
Right. I would say the way they dress would be a starter.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, shiny shoes and all that.
So you know as well.
Shiny shoes.
But
Which
you see
side
the women,
wears shiny
you see the
shoes?
women pickpocketing in Westfield. Yeah,
I've
they're like flipping
got
models.
nothing against Romanian people.
Anyway, well the point
The
here is
freedom
this.
movement
No, but
where,
I
where
get
people
it.
can come over with a criminal record,
I get
people
it.
come over.
See, here's the
it's
irony
type
is
of people
this.
that come over.
Do you think leaving the EU is going to improve our immigration policy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because we will be able to control who comes here and who we need.
All right.
And it won't be focused on a majority of white continent.
Fantastic. Okay, can we?
Which is why it's not
all right,
nothing
can
to do
we
with a
improve
racist
our?
argument.
You know the answer to this. Can we improve our immigration status now whilst being part of the
Yes,
EU?
we could. You
Why
are
aren't
right,
we?
to a degree.
We
Because
can.
because Britain.
can we?
Because let me answer. Because for some reason Britain has always applied the letter of the law, the EU law, more strictly than the majority
What's the letter of the EU law?
continental. So for example, the ability for Polish mothers to claim child benefit in Britain, even if their kids are in Poland. I don't believe other EU countries would be so ridiculous to do that. Yet it's claimed that we do it because we're complying with the EU
okay.
law. So we apply it
We're
more
against the EU
literally
law.
to the letter, but France doesn't.
No,
for
but- no, but
example.
you're wrong.
so some
All
is
right.
it was.
No,
Well, I'm
I-
agreeing with your point.
No, but you're wrong.
We have applied it within our own control more excessively than many other
No,
EU
you're
countries,
completely wrong.
which is
You're
ridiculous.
the opposite. You're
They
the
just
opposite.
get more in benefits.
How
are we the
opposite?
That's
How
why
are we the
I'm
opposite?
I'll explain why you're the opposite, yeah, because according to EU law, Article 7 of the People's Charter, any member can come from another member state to another member state, yeah, if they can prove they can support themselves for 3 months and they have health insurance and not become a burden on that society's welfare system. Okay, this is Article 7. We can implement it, which is EU law, but we don't implement it. Now, why don't we implement it? Belgium implement it. Romania implement it.
But that is, in a way, the same point that I was making.
No, but
that
when-
we implement EU law differently
No, we're
to
not.
how other
no,
EU
but you
countries
just made you said we
implement it.
you said we implement EU law to the letter when in fact we're
In
ignoring
some
it.
cases we do.
No, but in this
In
case,
some case, but in other
this case,
cases we do.
In this case, we're ignoring it. Why are we crying about immigration when
Well,
within?
are we?
No.
I'm not.
Tell me about the breaking
I'd be
point
happy for an
poster.
increase in-
Tell me about the breaking point poster. What was all that about?
Well, that wasn't either of us.
Leave UK. Wasn't it?
Nobody
Was that with all the brown
That was
faces
Nigel. That
coming
was Nigel
over?
Farage. All the brain
Well,
faces.
does that mean all Brexiteers, all people that voted to leave, are racist or worried about immigration?
No, they are.
Clearly, that's not true. Because here's two examples
So
there
they're
that
clearly.
are.
So you happy with to stay in the single market and have the full freedoms?
Elongate that letter.
The full freedom
shorten the
of
letter.
travel, no.
Movement, work.
Not of movement, no.
Why?
Minuscule
Why do we need
way
it?
of pronunciation.
We didn't have it before when we
No,
joined
but no,
the
but-
when we joined the EEC.
So why do you have a problem with it? If you haven't got a problem
And
with
yet
immigration?
we could still. I still went.
you ain't got a
You're
problem
of the
with that.
same generation. I went interrailing. I bought one ticket. I could travel all around Europe. Okay, I had to get the different currencies. I had to get lira. I had to get francs, etc. That was the only difference.
Well, you haven't got a problem with immigration, man.
Or fabrication.
I don't have a problem with immigration, but I don't want free movement.
biased
I want
immigration.
managed immigration.
All right, but we don't manage
Which is
but we're not-
obviously
but
anyone.
But
would
we're
want
not even
managed.
managing it now when we can.
Well, and that's the point I said a minute ago.
No, but
that
within
we
the EU.
could have managed it more within the EU. Yes.
So
that
why
is
do we need
correct.
to leave to manage
Because
it?
I don't want to leave because of immigration.
So why do you want to leave?
Sovereignty.
What does that mean?
In control of our 100% in control of all of our legislature.
What do you mean? Tell me something
How
the
do
EU.
you not
all right,
know
tell
what
me a
that
law the
means?
UK has tried to implement that the EU have vetoed. Name one.
So, what law the UK has
Yeah,
implemented?
something that
that-
we've tried to do as a sovereign nation that the EU has said no, you're not doing that.
There's lots of EU legislation that we've implemented that
No,
we
no.
would not have implemented if it wasn't for the EU.
Give me an example.
Well, I mean, there's oodles within employment law. Working time directive is one
Oh, right,
obvious
all right,
example
all right.
of employment
So
law.
the EU,
and that says a
I get that, I get
48-hour
that.
working
So
week.
what you're
and-
saying is the EU protect our workers more than the UK does.
No, because in other respects, so maternity pay, sick pay, holiday entitlement, minimum wage, Britain pays more than the EU dictates. So in some areas we do more, which is why the Corbyn line of, oh, you know, the Tories, they want to crash employment law is absolutely bollocks, because some of our employment
No, no.
law is better than the EU
Do you believe we
dictate.
can make
But
laws
the
separate
EU
to the EU?
We can't make laws that go against it.
No, exactly.
Can we not? Can we not?
Exactly. Because
All right.
we couldn't force everyone to work 60
What law?
hours a week. I'm not saying we would want
We want
to.
to. That's protection, isn't it? See, the EU.
But I want to be the master of our destiny for that.
Right.
Me personally, but Britain. Not the unelected, the fraudulent
So you're saying, all right, that's
federal
fine,
entity
that's
of the
fine.
EU.
So you believe a
I
country,
don't want
all
them
right.
to tell us what
So
to
if,
do.
so if a country gets a corrupt government, you think it should be at the mercy of that corrupt government to do as it pleases? In its sovereignty.
That's what the EU is.
No, it's not.
Very corrupt and very fraudulent. It hasn't even ever submitted its financial accounts. No private business would be allowed
Who
to
told you that?
continue. Oh, can you well, point me in the direction
Jordan,
of their audited
Jordan,
accounts?
correct him, please.
Point me in the
Just correct
direction of their
him.
audited
I bought this
accounts.
argument. I bought this
Listen, he
argument.
put this argument to me.
Because
I
heard
sent him
they
something
haven't
within 1
signed their
minute.
accounts off in 15 years.
And was that true or
It turns
not?
out they have.
They have.
Show us the audited account.
I've shown him.
Well,
Where?
Jordan and
No, I've shown Jordan.
both of you are arguing for the EU. I mean,
Against the EU.
against the EU. Sorry, but you do know within the British parliamentary system we have the House of Lords, which is unelected, and they
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
decisions.
We need
You're
to do
against that?
a lot of improvement.
So you
the
should be happy with the
democracy here.
devolution
We
of
need
Scotland.
PR. We need a highly reformed Lords, if not a
Should
completely
Scotland be
disbanded
allowed
Lords.
independence?
It's their choice if they
Oh,
want
you
to.
think they should
let
be
them.
allowed? Oh, that's fine. So you want your
Glad
country
you
back, but a
agree
little
with
bit
that.
smaller? Is that what it is?
Ridiculous.
No?
But isn't it ridiculous that the SNP,
What happens to
the
Northern
SNP
Ireland
want
with
to
the
break
Brexit?
the union of the United Kingdom, but they want to stay in the EU?
No,
It's
no, no,
complete
no, no, no,
an
no.
illogical
No, no, that's
position to
incorrect.
have. I want to be in that
That's
union, but
incorrect.
not in that
No,
union.
that's incorrect.
It's ridiculous.
No, that's incorrect.
It's hypocrisy.
That's incorrect. Scotland wanted to remain in the EU because they benefit
But
from
they
being
didn't
members.
want. But Nicola Sturgeon tells
did.
us she doesn't want to be in the United Kingdom.
No.
Which would you choose?
Who were?
The mother of all
Scottish
parliaments, this
independence.
mother of all
Scotland voted to remain,
democracy,
60%.
or the EU.
So Scotland
You
voted
weren't
to remain
listening,
in the
were you?
EU, and it's being dragged out of the EU.
Well, we're one collective. That's like saying Barking voted to stay in, so therefore we should stay in because Barking chose. Scotland is the same part, the same United
No, but that's the
Kingdom.
whole principle.
You can't pick off geographical areas and say, well, they wanted to stay, so we can't leave because they wanted to
So
stay.
you say Scotland
because
shouldn't-
they're part of the United
So according to
Kingdom.
your sovereignty,
you can't divide it
Does
up.
Scotland allow their sovereignty?
Is London allowed their
No,
sovereignty?
Scotland.
Is London? How? It's part of the United Kingdom. No election, no referendum is done via localities, i.e. they can reach a different conclusion to theirs.
Scotland voted to be part of the UK in their referendum.
Exactly.
No.
So why suddenly on this one subject? Oh, you're arguing that Scotland should be able to do its own thing on this one subject.
What do you mean?
Well,
you're
you're saying
arguing,
that Scotland,
right?
but you're just saying Scotland don't want to leave.
No, Scotland voted to remain, didn't they?
Yes, that's
Northern
what I just
Ireland-
said.
Northern
that's what I
Ireland
just
voted
said.
remain.
But what about the Isle of Wight? What about Barking? Where do you draw the boundaries when you're analysing the results of the
Do you
referendum?
not recognise Scotland as a country?
But why? So you're saying they should be allowed a different outcome to the referendum?
No, but you...
even though it was a national
No,
referendum.
well, I'm trying to understand how you differentiate.
Well, I'm trying to understand
Do you
how
believe
you-
Scotland is a country of its own right or
No,
not?
they're part of the
They're not-
UK.
They're
no,
part of the
They're
UK.
part of the United
They're
Kingdom.
part of the
They've got their own
UK.
parliament, haven't they?
They have the BBC. They
And they've got
share
their
the
own parliament.
military.
And they've got different courts.
Yeah, there are certain
And they've got
local
different
things
laws.
that are
They've got different laws,
devolved.
haven't
They have some things that are
So they have
devolved,
different
other
laws.
things that are not.
So they have different
In
laws.
some respects, not in other respects.
So they have different laws.
In some respects, you don't listen. In some
I did.
respects, but not others.
Well, that's a yes.
No, it's a yes and a no.
Hamza,
well,
are you assuming
because
that
it's
they're
more
going to choose?
nuanced.
They will choose the EU over
Game of
England.
poker again, isn't it? It's
But that's
quite
an
tiring.
assumption.
The Scottish one.
Because they may not. Because people thought they wanted to break away before, and
It's
they
annoying
voted
when
to
that
stay.
Islam.
Part of- in the referendum where Scotland was going to leave the UK, they stayed.
No,
And people
because there
thought
wasn't
that
a
the
no,
same
because
consensus was
the
going
Scottish
the other way.
referendum initially was before the referendum about the EU.
It was.
Yeah. And they
Well,
were
they
told,
started
Scotland
for-
was told, we're not leaving the EU.
Yeah, true.
And then as soon as they voted to remain part of the UK, Then the referendum came.
But do you think you can make the assumption that just because Scotland voted to remain, that they're all of a sudden going to want to leave the UK?
They've already done a poll.
Well, you're saying that if
They said they want to stay in the EU, and obviously we voted out. Are you saying that now they'll definitely want to
Yes.
break away? But that's an assumption. Isn't it? You can't make that from-
if
Are there any polls?
There's a
Yeah.
caveat. There's a caveat. If they can remain
that
as
wasn't
part
in
of
their
the
vote,
EU.
was it? That
No,
wasn't in their vote.
no,
It
no, no.
didn't say if England
They couldn't.
The
could
point
they?
is
The
this.
EU's already confirmed they couldn't.
Well, it depends if they unify with Ireland.
Well, it
doesn't
depends who you listen to in the EU, but the EU has said categorically Scotland ain't going to be
I'm
able
pretty
to
sure
stay.
if Ireland and Scotland made a union, I'm pretty sure they'd be
Ireland and Scotland are union,
Potentially.
the north or south of Ireland.
No, well, if no deal Brexit, it'll be unified, isn't it?
Another prediction.
What's going to happen?
I doubt it'll be
prediction
unified.
based
I'll be
on?
doubting it'll be
Do you
unified.
ignore
I'll be
facts and
doubting it'll be. Listen to you. You pick your facts and figures. I doubt very much that it's going to be unifying over the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Well, Scotland.
No, Northern and South
So
Ireland.
what happens in a no deal Brexit with Ireland, Northern Ireland?
We look around at the entire perimeter of Europe. It's, Northern Ireland and Ireland is not the only land border that the EU.
No, but they've got the Good Friday
has.
Agreement in place, enshrined in law.
Yeah, but how does that change the fact that all the other borders, the border of Switzerland, have you never driven between France and Switzerland,
Who, me? No.
or any other border of the EU?
But you know why you can do that?
Because of technology, because of
Because they're in the
arrangements.
single market.
And
Anyway,
not every border of the EU is in
Switzerland
the.
is.
Yeah, but not every border
so
of the EU.
which country are you saying? Not in the EU.
Look, just look
Which
at
country?
When you get home, look at a map.
Which
and you
country?
can
All right,
see.
tell me which country, which is not in the single market, that you can just drive
That
across
has-
this border.
Norway.
There you go.
No, we are in the single market. All right, name a country not in the single market.
They left the EU, but they're still.
They're not in the customs union. Okay. First thing you
Sweden?
understand, right?
I'm sure they're.
Switzerland.
Sweden.
Switzerland.
Sweden.
Sweden not in the single market.
Not Swindon. Sweden.
Sweden. What is this Swindon? Sweden not in the
Sounded
single
like
market.
it.
Yes, and it
That
was.
accent.
Sweden not in the single
Remember
market.
that? That accent. Remember
Sweden not in the single market.
Remember
Hey, Sweden not in the single
Remember
market. Sweden not in the single market.
Very boring, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Right. So here's the point. You see, you got to understand the difference between the customs union and the single market. Some people think it's the same thing, but it's not. So see, I'll explain to you. You can't look. The customs union means you're in a union with the EU, and you can't negotiate with other countries. Right. The single market is the four freedoms. You know, the freedom of movement, freedom of work, and such. Okay. By being in the single market, you can cross the border. Free movement of people because you're in the single market. So, for example, Turkey are not in the single market, but they're in the customs union. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah? They're not in the customs union. Therefore, Turkey can use the EU trade deals, but they can't have free movement of people. Do you understand? Right. Now, right now, we as members of the EU have a privileged position. Yeah, we have a deal that no one else has.
What about North
Yeah.
Macedonia?
We're not
What
part
about
of
North
Schengen.
Macedonia?
We don't have any part of the
And we're
euro.
hated for that,
Serbia,
aren't we?
Turkey,
We're hated
All right,
for
all right.
that.
Bosnia and Herzegovina,
No, Turkey,
Montenegro, Serbia.
So what you're saying to me, you can drive from
I'm just
the
using-
EU state to Turkey without crossing borders. Shut up.
Well, what about Montenegro? What about Bosnia? What about Serbia?
Okay,
What about North
okay.
Macedonia?
Do you understand how economy works? If you're going from one trade area to another, you have to pay tariffs and such, so you have to have
Do
stops
you know
at
how
borders.
technology works?
Yes.
Do you know how technology
Yes.
works? You do.
Yeah.
But you do.
Where?
Exactly. Someone did that in America
can't
the
cross
other
into
day.
Turkey
didn't they?
without
Got
realising.
into
No,
trouble.
But you can between Northern and Ireland.
No, you can now. You can now because we're in the EU.
And you can in the future.
So if you have a no-deal Brexit, here's the problem you see. If you have a no-deal Brexit, listen, if you have a no-deal Brexit, Southern Ireland will be in the EU, different trade
No argument's been
unions.
presented.
Sorry,
Fund your channel, man.
Northern Ireland will be with the British.
Between Switzerland
I'll take it back, dude.
Switzerland's in the single market.
yeah.
So if they're in the single